And Georgia rapper Quando Rondo is heading to prison for nearly 3 years. He was sentenced to 2 years and 9 months in federal prison in Savannah after pleading guilty to a drug offense. Well, in August, the rapper, whose real name is Taekwon Bowman, he pleaded guilty to a single count of conspiracy to possess and distribute
marijuana. He was sentenced to 33 months in federal prison. Now, any time he's already served, the judge ruled, will count towards that sentence, and he'll also pay a $440,000 fine. And the judge also ruled that he'll serve 3 years of supervisory release after he is released, and that release includes things like mental health counseling, drug testing, and educational resources. As Quando Rondo's public profile and the unusual details of the charges have drawn attention to the case fact that you're doing. Finally, prosecutor first sought a 37-month sentence and hefty $50,000 fine, but Quando Rondo's legal team argued for a shorter 24-month term, emphasizing his attempts to escape the harsh environment he grew up in and to leave the streets behind. Despite these arguments, the judge reached a compromise and sentenced him to 33 months in prison and reduced the fine to $40,000. In his statement to the court, Quando Rondo regretted his actions and stated his desire to be a better role model for his fans. He also admitted the mistakes that brought him to this point. Interview 14,716. The judge did stress, however, that even though Quando Rondo was no longer involved in gang activities, his role in what was called a sophisticated plot to market marijuana could not be disregarded. One of the case's more peculiar features is, rumor has it, that Quando Rondo was using inventive but incriminating methods to promote his illicit enterprises. Some of the marijuana bags he gave out had QR codes attached to them that connected to his music. Enough time to really sit down, rehabilitate myself, come up with some better plans, come out and move forward for my family and friends. This made the case more complicated by illustrating how the rapper used his platform in ways that raise serious ethical and legal issues in a society where street stories and authenticity frequently collide with real-life consequences. The sentence serves as a reminder of the blurred lines between entertainment and criminal activity. The upcoming years will undoubtedly have an impact on Quando Rondo's next chapter in life, both personally and professionally. Quando Rondo will begin serving a 33-month prison sentence in January 2025. But his punishment doesn't end there. He will also be placed on supervised probation for 3 more years after his release, during which he must complete mandatory mental health treatment sessions, pass regular drug tests, and avoid all contact with anyone involved in gang activities. 3 years is a long time for anyone, and many people are wondering how this might impact Quando Rondo's rap career. People think that this might be the end of his time in the spotlight. It's important to remember that the rapper narrowly avoided a much harsher sentence because of a gang indictment back in June 2023 when he and 18 other people were arrested in Georgia. Law enforcement was cracking down on the Ring 60s neighborhood CPS, and the indictment painted a vivid picture of Quando Rondo's alleged involvement. Prosecutors claimed Quando Rondo was able to secure his release on a $100,000 bond shortly after the indictment, driving all over Georgia and actively coordinating the transportation of drugs while other members of his crew delivered the profits to suppliers in Atlanta. However, things quickly spiraled out of control when a few weeks later, he was reported to have been involved in a car crash caused by an alleged overdose. Prosecutors pushed for his bond to be revoked, arguing that he posed a risk, but the judge permitted him to stay. Quando Rondo was free on bail, with the additional requirement that he was not allowed to drive until the case was over and his sentencing was finalized. It's unclear whether Rondo's encounter with the judicial system marks the conclusion of one tale or the beginning of another. But it does demonstrate the challenging process of balancing a career in rap with the reality of living on the streets. Rondo has publicly stated his intention to change his life by sending a heartfelt letter to his hometown of Savannah. Although he acknowledged his past transgressions, he made it clear that he wanted to be a better role model for the young people in his city. He talked about his love for Savannah and his desire to encourage others to follow a different path. For a brief period, it seemed as though Quando Rondo was prepared to move on from his difficult past, but things quickly took a drastic turn for the worst when in December 2023, he was stopped during what seemed to be a routine traffic stop. Local Georgia authorities were collaborating with federal agents, and when they arrested Quando Rondo, they charged him with intent to distribute cocaine. fentanyl and other substances, he was facing up to 20 years in prison, but after he entered a guilty plea, the more serious charges of cocaine, methamphetamine, and fentanyl were dropped, and he was given a reduced sentence of 5 years for a marijuana-related charge. Quando Rondo denied any involvement in drug trafficking, claiming that the authorities were only targeting him due to his notoriety. He maintained that he had never used hard drugs. Like prosecutors presented wiretap evidence that showed Quando Rondo talking to a supplier in the recording, saying he didn't want to deal with fentanyl pills just before to his sentence. Rondo published a project that included the song, "Don't Give Up on Me." The song seemed like a message to his followers and a representation of his thinking during these trying times, which further complicated his case. Despite his recent legal troubles, many pondered whether this chapter in his life would be a turning point or a permanent setback for Quando Rondo because of the lyrics, which focused on his struggles, acknowledging the challenges that led him to this point and expressing hope for a better future. In one of his most recent songs, Quando Rondo wraps up his arrest and the accusations against him by stating that fans knock on his door and discuss some fentanyl they picked up from him. He further demonstrates his tenacity by revealing that none of us told them that he was in the interrogation room. Crackers eventually came at me, but I'm too strong to fold. These lyrics emphasize his viewpoint on sticking by his principles and defying authority in the face of pressure. Although his rap career hasn't taken off as planned, Quando Rondo's story is different. He has a large fan base and is closely associated with one of the biggest names in the game, NBA YoungBoy. His involvement in the rap game has been a significant part of his life for years, and he has already earned a substantial amount of legal money through his music. Despite the challenges he has faced, Quando Rondo recently revealed in a Happy TV interview that NBA YoungBoy has provided him with unrivaled support. He claims that NBA YoungBoy gave him a $1 million advance and never demanded payment from him. His partnership with NBA YoungBoy not only gave him a significant platform, but also helped solidify his position in the industry when he started to gain popularity in the music industry. Many labels wanted to sign him, but he chose to align with NBA YoungBoy, a move that took his career to new heights. Many people believe that Quando Rondo's legal issues are more related to his status as a rapper than to actual criminal activity because of this act of kindness and devotion, which has been a pillar of their relationship and shows the kind of support he has had in his corner during these trying times. However, in February 2024, Quando Rondo was arrested again for DUI and reckless driving, making it seem as though his life was on the decline, but he made the conscious decision to change his ways. Choice to alter his behavior, his outlook, and life changed significantly when he became clean and even converted to Islam. One of the most surprising things that happened was that he forgave the guy who had tried to murder him. Most people are aware of Quando Rondo's terrible involvement in King Von's death in 2020, which started with an online argument between King Vav and an NBA youngster on social media. After performing at a nightclub in Georgia, Rondo and his group stopped at a convenience store a few hours later. Shortly after arriving, a shooter opened fire on them, turning what should have been a routine stop into a life-or-death situation. Feud ultimately turned into a deadly altercation in which King Vav lost his life and Rondo became a mocked man with a target on his back. Rondo knew that the fallout from Von's death put him in serious danger in 2021, and that danger materialized when someone tried to take him out. This incident served as a reminder of the dangers that Quando Rondo faces on a daily basis, but his choice to embrace a new path demonstrates his efforts to move past his past and concentrate on his personal development. It seemed that someone had been following him and his group, even though Quando Rondo was unharmed. That night, one of his close friends was shot in the hand a year later. However, things took a much darker turn because Quando Rondo's cousin LOLP was allegedly targeted by one of King Von's associates, which led to LOL's untimely death. Quando Rondo LP and Quando Rondo's sister were riding around Los Angeles when the incident occurred, and they were unaware that Lil Durk and alleged OTF associates were following them around in 2024. Lil Durk and several OTF affiliates were arrested in connection with LOL pub murder, but many had already conjectured about Durk's involvement when Quando Rondo stopped at a gas station. 3 shooters emerged and opened fire on the vehicle, but Quando Rondo survived the ambush, one of the first clues that pointed to OTF was the knowledge of specific details about the shooting, such as Lil Pub fatal headshot, which were not made public at the time, adding to the El Quando Rondo read. A Roland 60 CP from Savannah was said to have been close to Dirk, whereas Brick Baby, a Roland 60 CP from Los Angeles, was tensions with the West Coast Crips are growing. Additionally, Dirk's lyrics seemed to fuel the fire on his song by implying that there would be violence and that Trail would turn on me, change our dental insurance, and say, "We don't do rental vans, and we don't do the overlapping rivalries." In another unpublished sample, music and street relationships continued to entwine in a circle of violence, leaving a trail of tragedy and unanswered questions. Fans and blog ERS linked Dirk's even more provocative lyrics, such "Y'all don't play like you ain't know who we spanked back in the summer," to real-life incidents, which only served to heighten suspicions. The deep emotional toll of his cousin LOL Pub's death and the complicated connections are still evident in Rondo's songs and public remarks. Dirk hasn't held back from mocking Quando. During live performances and unreleased songs, Dirk allegedly sampled Rondo's sobs after Lil Pub passed away. He also mentioned the incident in bars, saying things like, "You guys laughed when your bro died and turned into a crybaby that jumped out on both sides with a 4-5 that boy can't hide, can he?" These poetic jabs enraged Rondo's supporters and increased hostilities between the camps, which made matters worse. Brick Baby, Dirk's long-term ally, had a significant role in the West Coast rolling 60 CPS and openly supported Dirk's viewpoint in an interview with Brick Baby, who declared, "Dirk's operations are my operations too," demonstrating support for the OTF camp on a track with OTFCC3. Brick Baby also made subtle allusions to the dilemma. Smirking at the Rondo Pub incident, "I need a perk since I'm not good enough to ride like them. Killers, I've heard they say they're 60. Get at your predicament." Even though there is no concrete evidence connecting Brick Baby to the hit song on LOL Pub, Rondo shocked his fans by announcing that he was laying down his CPT flag. He cited his frustration with certain members of the Rolling 60s, whom he felt were siding with his enemies on his song Long Live PB. His harsh comments only served to increase tension between the camps, as he openly dismissed the significance of LOL Pub's death, betrayal, and anguish rapping. "They want him to be the only artist from out of Savannah, so I think I might throw in my bandana. I believe my mana was struck by someone who rushed down from a vehicle. How I would sacrifice my life for many. It's a filthy fanta. I wish I could prove that Tahoe's disillusionment and issues with trust loss and the risky connections that surround him are shown in these songs." Although Rondo's choice to break away from gang ties represents a significant financial shift in his life, his experience serves as a sobering reminder of the price of these continuous disputes. It is unclear if Stefan Mack's decision will help him distance himself from ongoing conflicts or make him more vulnerable, but it highlights the toll that this violent crime has taken on both his personal and professional life. The murder of Stefan Mack sent shockwaves through Chicago, particularly because of its alleged connections to Lil Durk and the ongoing cycle of violence tied to his personal life. Feud is investigating the sad event as part of a larger pattern of reprisals and purported plots connected to Durk. Authorities believe that Max's murder was related to the shooting death of Lil Durk's brother D-Tang in 2021. The killing of D-Tang was a watershed because there were suspicions that Durk had given money to target the people who killed him on January 27th. The night of the Dang murder, Mac, who was allegedly a member of the gangster disciple set known as Smashville, was shot and killed outside the Youth Peace Center of Roseland. According to reports, a nearby officer heard gunshots and saw a man carrying a gun. A shootout broke out, leaving the officer wounded in the thigh. Tragically, D-Tang was shot in the head a short distance from the scene. In 2023, two assailants jumped out of a car and started shooting at Stefan Mack as he was leaving the Youth Peace Center of Roseland. Dante Banks Jr., whose real name was Dante Banks, was shot outside Club OA strip club in Harvey, Illinois, just 30 minutes outside of Chicago. This incident not only caused heartbreak for Durk, but it also sparked a wave of retaliatory violence. The brutality of the assault stunned many, particularly given its closeness to a location meant to promote peace. Mac was murdered immediately, and a security officer nearby was injured. 2 guys were later taken into custody by the police. According to Anthony, detectives are presently investigating potential links between this event and Lil Durk, who may have planned or funded the attack as part of a wider street leveling cycle. Taking revenge, whether the accusations are accurate or not, the violence associated with these incidents shows that the effects of this feud are widespread, impacting not only the people directly involved, but also the communities caught in the crossfire. These claims further complicate the rapper's ongoing legal disputes and the violent narrative surrounding his name. It's unclear how these cases will affect Durk's future as an artist and as a man involved in one of the most fierce rivalries in the rap game. In the song, Could Have Been Me, he seems to have disparaged Durk and mentioned King Von's death, rapping that your homie got shot 5 times. He also took aim at Durk and his fans, rapping that we're afraid to come outside when they want to score I got that 30 on my side, everyone picked a side, it's way too much. His rap career has survived all the drama, but his current legal troubles and prison sentence are leaving his future in the industry uncertain. He entered a not guilty to additional charges related to his 2023 crash in September 2024, and if found guilty, he could serve additional time. Fans are left wondering what the future holds for both artists, as Behind Bars' career capitalized on his relationship with NBA YoungBoy, one of the game's hottest rappers. Their collaborations routinely garnered millions of streams and widespread attention. YoungBoy was recently sentenced to 23 months in prison after pleading guilty to a felony gun charge. He admitted to having firearms while filming a music video in Baton Rouge and later while under house arrest in Utah, adding to his legal issues. The 2 rappers were planning to go on tour together, but their separate legal battles ended those plans. Despite the setbacks, fans of the rap industry are holding out hope that both rappers will recover, return to the studio, and refocus their energy on the music. Despite the setbacks, their legal issues have overshadowed their artistry since King Von's death, preventing them from fully committing to the game. While some artists have been able to revitalize their careers after serving their sentences, the question is whether Quando and YoungBoy will be able to recapture their buzz after serving their sentences and return stronger. Please click the notice if you've been following along and want to make sure you don't miss any of the most current happenings. Like this video. You won't want to miss any of the upcoming content, so please subscribe to the channel.